what is up, y'all? Will here with Schedule Fly. This is the Restaurant Owners Uncorked podcast brought to you by us here at Schedule Fly. Simple, web-based restaurant employee scheduling software backed by legendary customer service, human customer service, like my cell phone's on the public-facing website customer service, and a low price point. We've been doing this 18 years. We have never raised our prices. We're not financed by the finance bros in the world of VC or private equity. It's our business, and we try to provide simple software, great customer service, and a very affordable price. If you are on pencil and paper or Excel for your schedule, we can make life easier for you and your team and help you save on labor costs and get a little bit more efficient and give your employees a nice employee benefit with their schedule at their fingertips on an app all the time. So head over to schedulefly.com. There's a 30-day free trial. No credit card, no obligation. We don't do contracts, no setup fees, no implementation fees, no death by a thousand cuts, just simple monthly pricing. And my personal cell is right there. This is my cell. It is a flip phone. I manage this business from a flip phone because our software is real simple and nobody ever really needs to call, but it's there if you need it. So call me, text me. Happy to talk to you about Schedulefly. And most importantly, happy to talk to y'all about another episode here of Restaurant Owners Uncorked. We're now episode 600 and whatever it is, and we are lucky to have Darren Spicer on here today, who's got a freaking badass concept that is growing fast. So, Darren, thank you for joining. Just take a second and introduce yourself.
Yeah, appreciate you having me. Darren Spicer, I'm the co-founder and CEO of Clutch Coffee Bar. We have 17 locations based in the Carolinas. Prior to that, I spent almost a decade working at Dutch Bros Coffee, and really kind of cut my teeth there before getting the chance to spread out and do my own thing. And so very passionate about customer service in the same way that you are. I think it's a lost art form, and so we're going to help bring it back and try to show people the love.
Oh, good. Okay. Well, hot button issue for me. We're going to dive into that for sure. So, all right. Here's how we do this podcast, Darren, is I don't have, it's not an interview. I don't have a list of questions. This should just be a thoughtful, intelligent, educational, maybe inspiring conversation for the audience, and hopefully you really enjoy it as well. So the only scripting or like preset format I have in here is I always ask people the origin story of like, how did you get into hospitality originally? So you came from Dutch Bros. Before that, I know you mentioned before we started recording, you were in medical sales. So where does this all trace back to?
So I first got into the customer service industry, I think, my first job right at a grocery store, which didn't feel like the sexiest customer service position. And I had to walk by this coffee kiosks inside of this grocery store every day, and there's attractive girls and a tip jar is overflowing, and I'm like, I am in the wrong job, like pushing carts and bagging groceries. Like this is there's something better out there. And so I initially asked, I'm like, hey, how do I get a job here? And was lucky enough to get a chance to get into that as a barista. And that was a game changer just because I got to communicate with people more directly. People were excited to get a coffee versus, pushing carts or things of that nature. And that part was great. And then I made a lot better money as well with making tips and doing that. So that was like my first taste, I think, when I was 17. And then I went over to Dutch Bros shortly after that. And that was the cool kid on the block when I was growing up in Oregon, and worked there throughout college. Left and got an adult job when I graduated, and quickly realized that there was still something just pulling back at me in terms of wanting to serve people, really. And so while I was doing a full-time medical device sales career, I actually went back to Dutch Bros in my mid 20s to help open new locations for them. And at the time, you had to manage a new store, or you had to manage a store for at least a year before you could be considered for franchising. And so 9 months into that 12-month program, that qualifier, they changed the model for the last time and said, we're not going to do any more franchising. It's going to all be company owned stores, which at the time for me was not, that didn't get me excited. I wanted to have some skin in the game. And so I told my employees when I subsequently left, I was like, I'm going to start a coffee company and I'm going to name it, Clutch. And that was in 2015, and spent a couple years getting ducks in a row, getting organized with a couple co-founders, and then we launched on March 3rd of 2018.
March 3rd, 2018. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about, and you live in California, but you guys are here in the Southeast. And you've got 17, is it the Carolinas? Is it just North and South
Yeah.
Carolina right now?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All
17
right.
all in the Carolinas.
Why did you choose the Carolinas?
So for my time doing medical sales, I'd spent time in a lot of different cities across the country, and initially, I really liked for several reasons. I really liked Charlotte and Nashville, and those were two areas that I thought were younger, growing cities that were driving populations, if you will, right? Not a lot of public transportation. Everyone's driving from communities into work, and the real estate was more affordable. The economics made a little bit more sense. So it kind of de-risked it a little bit compared to the West Coast. And I just really liked the areas. So we that's where we were kind of focused on, and we got our first opportunity to convert two human being locations. They were formerly another brand. We converted those into Clutch locations and kind of got rolling from there.
All right. So when you have this idea for Clutch Coffee, I mean, talk about, like, let's break down the process of building out the plan for this thing, raising money. I'm assuming if you have investors, or like how you did that, how long did that take? Um, and what was it about Clutch that you saw was going to be unique in this world of like many different fast growing coffee brands?
Yeah, great question. So the biggest thing I think we thought of was it was especially on the East Coast and in the South, the only main players that everybody was used to was Starbucks and Dunkin', which is very transactional. And so I just kind of looked at it and I'm like, we can take their lunch. Like we can absolutely deliver a phenomenal experience, a better product faster. And if we can win on all of those things and you're more affordably priced, you check every box. So that was the drive. We thought we had an opportunity to create something that we could grow and scale. So getting the first two locations, we opened March 3rd, and then 4 weeks later on March 31st. And they're 3 miles apart from each other. A lot of intentionality to build the plan out with two other co-founders. We funded it ourselves, so the three of us collectively put in about $500,000 to get it off the ground. And my belief on it was, if you're like, move and move quickly, be thoughtful with how you're going to do it, but shoot the shot basically. And if you're going to fail, fail fast. And I can always fall back to what I was doing before, but like, didn't want to sit on the sidelines and watch the industry grow and say, oh, I had thought of that. I wish I had done something. So we, like I said, funded it ourselves. 3 or 4 months into it, I resigned from I was the national director of sales for a medical company. So I took an 80% pay cut to chase the dream. And we just started, getting to work and building the community brick by brick, customer by customer in Morrisville, North Carolina.
Okay. Morrisville. Okay. Gotcha. That was location number one. Uh, tell us about Clutch. What's the experience like? How are you unique?
Yeah. So our mantra is that we exist to serve positive energy. So that takes a lot of forms, but if we use that as our grounding thought, then I think it covers all facets of our business. So um, when you visit Clutch, right, and I've been to three already this morning, but when you visit Clutch, you the experience kind of starts when you turn onto the property, right? So there's surround sound, upbeat music playing inside and out. We kind of look at it like we're the host of the party for the short amount of time that you're going to be there. We want to deliver, some positive energy to you because we're a stop along the way. We're not we're not the destination. Um, so I think that's where it starts first. We then have someone that is typically outside, taking your order face to face, and interacting with you. So you're not ordering at a speaker box. It's very relationship driven. Um, the quality of the coffee that we use, it's very expensive. But if you're going to pay $5 for a coffee, it better be phenomenal these days. So um, really prideful in the roaster we work with and the product that we serve. And really wanting to, like I said, to just be a moment of positive energy in someone's day to get them, to get them going along their way.
So this is, to be clear, this is drive-through. You drive up,
Yep.
you place an order. Can
Yep.
you go
And we do
inside, or is it all?
no indoor seating. I mean, with the exception of an end cap location that we have, no indoor seating. So it's
Okay.
drive-through. We do have a walk-up window at most locations. So if you want to, that helps us activate mobile ordering as well. But our bread and butter is drive-through.
It's drive-through. Okay. So you drive in, you've got high energy, you got music, and you got a person taking that
Yeah.
order. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, got it. Um, did you, so this will be a small real estate footprint. And you took, did you say it was another concept where you, at least where you started, you took over where another concept had been, or are you building these buildings out, or?
Yeah, a little bit of both. So we're about a half an acre footprint, including the stacking. With the first five locations we did were all conversions of something else. So Drive-Thru Coffee was the first two. It was just another brand, and the gentleman that owned it wanted to retire. So it was that. It was a converted drive-through Wells Fargo Bank, a converted fast food place, and let's see, the fifth one was a Smoothie King. So we converted the first five because that's what the budget allowed for. And now we have a preferred developer who helps us to continue to build out new de novo buildings. Typically, they're standalone. Sometimes it'll be with another tenant. It just depends if how big the piece of land is and if you can get two drive-throughs in or not. Um, but those are the majority of them now are standalone buildings that have been developed,
How many do you own and how many are franchised?
all company owned.
All company owned. Okay. And so that's your model. You're building out company owned. Okay.
Yeah, for right now, yeah. I mean, we've been approached by franchising. I think there's a time and a place for it. I don't know if that time or place is at Clutch right now, but I think it's a big lift and a big responsibility if you're going to do it. But right now, they're all company owned.
Tell me about that. Like break that down as you grow and you think through that. Like what are the pros and cons of continuing to grow company owned versus franchising?
Pros, I think you've got control over the brand, right? Versus having to deal. I mean, I have friends in the coffee space who have franchised and literally have told me they're like, Darren, I wish I hadn't have done that. Because it's great in certain aspects if you've got great franchisees, but if you don't have people that are following the playbook, and they go rogue, which ironically, the guy that we bought the first two locations from, that were the Human Bean brand. I mean, well, flatly told us, he's like, I don't follow what they tell me to do. I do what I want. I'm like, okay, noted. And he was a franchisee. So I think pro is control, um, and being able to really make sure the brand lives out the way you want it to. Obviously, it's just a different model in the sense of um, the enterprise value you're building and the equity of what you're creating as a company owned, depending on what you want to do in the future. I think a downside to it is you can't grow as quickly, and you have to use your own capital to grow versus someone else's capital.
Yeah.
We've chosen to use our own just because and the developer partnering helps. Um, a lot of people that want a franchise, but again, it sounds great, but you've got to make sure that your model is airtight and your support is phenomenal if you're going to ask someone to invest 6 or 7 figures into your brand.
Yeah, exactly. So how many locations will you have a year from now?
A year from now, I think we'll be at 22 or 23.
Okay, got it. Do you have a percentage growth that you want to hit every year or like a number of stores growth, or do you plan multiple years out, or is it one year at a time?
Yeah, we're about 18 to 24 months out on planning. I don't, we'd like to continue to grow at least 5 to 10 stores a year. Um, that's probably the best answer on the growth. I would love to answer and say, oh, we expect our stores to grow by X% on same store sales. But we've seen things that are, I don't want to say unexplainable, but even higher than we would have guessed. Like I have several stores that are on their third or fourth year that are up 30 to 40% year over year, um, which is awesome. But if you'd asked me, what are you projecting for year three, year four? It's probably closer to 10 to 15%. So that part's exciting.
How do you find your locations?
We
I
were
know you
our
have somebody you work with, but like, what is the ideal location?
For us, we do half our business by 11 a.m. So you really need to be on the going to work side. I think that's at least for us specifically, nailing down our core time segment. So on the going to work side, it's got to be easy access, which I think is really true for any drive-through business. If it's hard, people won't do it. If it's complicated, they're just like, oh, this is a hassle. I don't want to deal with it. So you've got to be ease of access. I think visibility is huge. And making sure that people can actually see where you're at. And yeah, I mean, those are probably the biggest things. We look at traffic counts, we look at demographics. Are we in the right pocket that we believe where our customers exist? The average customer for Clutch is a 33-year-old female. And so, like, where, are we in the right pockets that we can be successful when we look at that as well?
The average customer is a 33-year-old female. Okay. Who's on the way to work, who wants,
On the way to work, might be after school, picking up the kids and going to practice, is running errands. And we do look, we have regulars that are high schoolers and retirees, so it's a very wide spectrum. So it's kind of a fun question. People are like, "Oh, what's your core demographic?" I'm like, anyone that drives, to be honest with you.
so most
But
of your business is
yeah,
before 11, but you're open all day or
at 5 a.m. to 9 p.m.
okay. People are still buying coffee at 8:30 at night.
Or heading to third shift at the hospital, or
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
more than you'd think. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Interesting. Okay. Okay. So, like, I know your location over on 74 or Monroe Road, highly
Mhm.
visible, probably a massive amount of traffic going into work there. Do you, like Burger King kind of grew up just literally like following McDonald's around and opening it up across the street. Do you place yours near Dunkin's and Starbucks, or do you try to get in an area where there's not many other choices?
It's a good question. It really depends on the situation. I would say the biggest thing that we try to be mindful of, like I have stores that are next door to a Starbucks, doesn't or a Dunkin', doesn't scare me or bother me. The biggest thing is if you're going to invest in a site, making sure that you're not in a scenario where you could be out positioned in a few years. So if and some of that's hard to foresee, but just really making sure that you're not going to get, out position and have, be short stopped by another brand that might be in a better spot. So we try to think about that. I think going into smaller towns has been interesting as well, like smaller pockets. So not, we're not going into uptown Charlotte. That's not like I think it almost is too dense. But driving communities where, like you mentioned with Monroe, I was actually at that store yesterday. Um, So, that feeds really well off of the hospital that's right across the street, as an additional spot. So, yeah, it really just depends on the area. Not afraid to be right near them, but we just want to make sure that we have some type of a competitive advantage in terms of the position.
What do people like? Why do somebody that their normal routine is that on their way in they go and they pre-order or whatever, they drive through at Dunkin' or Starbucks. Like, why do they switch to clutch?
So the best analogy I can give, and you're really gonna appreciate this because of the phone that you have. So this joke's gonna land in a fun way. So the example is, I tell people it's like when you got your first smartphone and you didn't know you needed it, and you're like, wow, like this, I so many things that I appreciate about this. I think the biggest things are the experience, like the genuine customer interaction, that experience, and then the product's got to be great. I mean, great experience can overcome an average product, but if you also have a great product to match that experience, like I think those connections are what really sets us apart. And then you have brands like Starbucks who are trying to make a renewed effort and focus on customer service, but then it doesn't feel, it feels forced. It doesn't feel natural where they're forcing them to write with a Sharpie on every drink. And a lot of our stores do that organically. Like the one that I have right now has my name on the top of it, right? Like that I got this morning. They'll do that organically because that's just part of the culture. It's not required or forced. So, yeah, I think that experience is the X factor.
We're in this interesting time. I used to have an iPhone, by the way. I had an iPhone
Okay,
until
I feel better.
5 years ago. I had an iPhone 11, and my problem was I didn't like, I didn't have the discipline to put it down and not be on it too much, right? And so this was like an experiment that stuck. But which brings up the marriage. I mean, this is what we try to do. Like, it sounds like a very similar philosophy. The marriage of having the right amount of technology, but not leaning so much technology and not leaning so much into technology that we lose the humanity of an experience with a business, right? You, you AI and all this stuff is it all has its place, but you can sometimes, I think, lean into so much technology in a business that you lose the human aspect. And if you lose the human aspect, you're going to have a hard time really winning over hearts and minds and brand loyalty and brand love. I mean, I think that's got to be why Starbucks is going back to that, because it got to be like what was it was just all like this manufactured process, a ticket that's printed, and it's like where like what does this do for me emotionally? Like nothing. So then it's all about speed, and that's fine, but people still want every day, any time during the day, if you can. I mean, I tell my kids this, like, make somebody smile and pay that for it makes a difference. People don't remember what you said, they remember how you made them feel. That's that famous Maya Angelou quote, and very few businesses do that anymore. I think the idea is starting to come back around. I hope it is, because our where I look at it as an advantage for our business, and you probably do too, because it's so rare that when you invest into that sort of like human to human experience, it does create loyalty to a brand, and it creates customer delight. Um, I want more businesses to do it, because I think the bar is so ridiculously low now that you're like blown away when you have a good experience at a business, which should not be the case, like,
Yep.
at all.
It's the lost art of customer service. I'm telling you, we've become kind of desensitized to, you just expect to order at a speaker, but in our industry, right? You expect to order at the speaker board. You expect to pull up and they open the window just to charge you, and then they close it, they turn their back. Like all of those things drive me crazy. So that's where it's like the window stays open, right? We have someone that is there talking to you, asking you about what you're doing that day, just engaging in a conversation. And oftentimes that conversation makes that experience feel even faster than it already is, just because, you've passed the time. You're not sitting there looking at your watch being like, okay, it's taken 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes. Where are we at on this, on my coffee? Uh, yeah, it's I'm such a believer in the genuine experience and just trying to connect with people. And if I see us not doing it, like literally, this is in honest feedback. I was at one of our Charleston locations this morning. I wrote it down in my notes to share with our regional manager. Three amazing personalities we had working, and they weren't sharing it with the customer at the window. That we're missing that, right? We got to be sharing that, like, and connecting with people. Otherwise it's a waste of a gift. So
It's a waste of a get. Well, okay. This is the rub, right? Like my question for folks like you, Darren, is always like, you have the passion, your partners have the passion, you get it. Like, this is why you built the business. How do you teach and train? And I know you have to hire people that, like, you can't hire people that are just great at making coffee drinks. You got to hire people that want to serve others. But how do you bring that out of them and make sure that consistently that's happening? Because that is such a key part of your experience in the differentiator. So it would seem, I'm guessing, that you have to spend a lot of energy reinforcing that just over and over and
yeah,
getting people to
yeah.
want to do that. Like, you want to do it, you own the business. I get it. Like, I want to do it because I own this business. But like, how do you get other people to be vested in, yeah, like this is how we roll and this makes a difference and this is important?
I think it's being very intentional. I mean, you being intentional and, like you said, talking about it and hitting it all the time. If you don't, you could have the best intentions or the best structure, but if you're not constantly talking about it and reinforcing it, I think it loses its stickiness. So we're blessed to have some really strong leaders in the company who push the narrative and push the mantra on a consistent basis. And then it also just comes down to our daily interactions. Like, how are we treating each other? Are we supporting each other? Are we motivating each other to be better? And when it's authentic in that nature, it kind of starts to spawn on its own. But getting people to be really invested and to care. And I tell people all the time, it's like we have such a fun job and opportunity to do. We're not selling tires, or like there's things that people require, like businesses you've got to go interact with that you may not be happy about or want to do. Like, we're a fun piece of the day. Like, we are an enjoyable piece, that little mini escape from whatever else is going on in your life. And so understanding where our position is and where we're at, I think is a key piece as well.
Why clutch? What does the name clutch mean?
So I'm a big sports fan, and when a player steps up and delivers in crunch time, right, and they're clutch, I want us to be that for our customers every day.
Dude, that's phenomenal. I love that. What sports do you like?
I played basketball in college, and then I went to camp with Tampa Bay as a pitcher for a little bit after that. So basketball and baseball to play, football to watch by a long shot. Yeah,
Okay. Tip my hat as a pitcher, man. That's like, you got to be clutch. That's such an isolating, like, heavy moment up there on a mound. Like, everybody eyes on you and you got to deliver. Like, that's when you got to learn. Like, great pitchers are freaking clutch. So, that's really cool.
thank you.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Do your partners, are they involved in the business or are they just investors in the business?
So when we started, there were three of us, and one was ops focused, and the other one was finance, taxes, HR, kind of on the backside, and he was more remote. He's still involved and sits on the board. The third partner is no longer active in the brand. Parted ways a few years ago. So, but the new lead investor partner has been great, kind of stepping in there and helping us grow. So, But on a day-to-day, I would say I probably carry the most water, if you will.
Okay. Yeah, so you have a board. I remember like we were going to do this a month or two ago and you had a board meeting come up or something like that. So you've got a board
Yep.
of advisors. Okay. Are they
Yep.
all investors in the business or is it people outside as well?
All investors. We have a performance coach that we meet with on a quarterly basis for our Pinnacle Leadership Program. But in terms of actual board seats, it's people that are specifically invested.
Okay. Gotcha. So where in California do you live?
Just outside of Sacramento in the Folsom Lake area.
Okay. So you got your crew out there and you're traveling out here to the East Coast. So a lot of, as you said, a lot of red eyes. Like, do you travel almost every week?
I go out every 2 to 2.5 weeks. So I'll take a red eye from Sacramento to Charlotte, land at 6 a.m., hit the road and go. And I'm trying to visit as many locations as I can, but also just spending quality time with our leaders too, to invest into them. So, I started yesterday, the day started in South Charlotte, went down to Columbia, had lunch with our managers there, drove over to Charleston to help work an event last night to just show some, so they didn't need me, but like I wanted to show the support. And then, visiting some of my crew up in Mooresville later today after I make that run back up through Charlotte on 77.
Where are you in Mooresville?
In Mooresville, we are 154 West Plaza Drive, which is off of Highway 150. And
Yeah.
then we have one at 356 Williamson Road, which is right near Williamson and Brawley. It's in the backside of a Publix shopping center.
I know that. So that's Brawley. That's us. My dad grew up in Mooresville. There's all these Brawleys up there. So
Yep,
Brawley School Road and all that kind of stuff.
it's growing a lot.
It's growing a lot. I was going to ask you if you're up there, like you got Huntersville and Cornelius and Davidson and like, I mean, when you get into an area like that, do you try to grow concentrically out where you've already established some brand presence? And then, I mean, you can't oversaturate, but like, in growth areas, do you try to like strategically place new locations, in this
Yeah,
areas?
right now we're in the phase of like we need to infill more. So we went out and planted some flags in different areas, right? I mean, Mooresville is kind of where we grew. Spoiler alert, we have our no one else knows this yet, so you can be the first to break this, but we're working on finalizing a site in Cheryl's Ford on the other side of
Okay.
the lake.
Yeah.
Um, but we went out and planted some flags in Columbia, in Greenville, in Fayetteville. And that's hard to do, to be, to go get your first one out there. So we're really in the phase of infill right now. And can we get locations that are near our successful ones that we already have brand awareness and brand recognition versus, putting a new flag in a new area?
You ever looked at Wilmington?
I have, yeah. I like Wilmington a lot. I think it's so far away that we were like, okay, can we support it the right way until
Yeah.
we grow a little bit closer? Port City Java's over there. They've been on and off the market periodically in terms of different things, but if we're going to do it, we just have to tackle it the right way.
Yeah, I just think of Wilmington's growing so much and people, there's a lot of traffic there and people in their cars, and there's probably like a good thing to be able to jump
Yeah.
in. What do you do like when you're traveling? Like what's your coffee? Like where do you get coffee when you're not in your footprint?
That's a good question. It just depends on kind of where I'm at, and also like I mean, convenience is key when I got a 6 and a 4-year-old, so when I'm running around doing things, I need to be able to grab it and go. Um, so sometimes it'll be Starbucks. I make a fair amount at home as
Yeah.
well. We've got a small, it's nothing super fancy, but a small espresso machine, and so that and cold brew is an easy way to go. I'm really on a nitro phase right now. Nitro cold brew with a little flavor is my current
That's the
kick.
thing. Yeah. Yeah. Gotcha. I mean, do you have like, is it a very robust menu? Do you have a lot of these like flavored drinks, or is it mainly, are you sticking to just the core coffee products?
Yeah, if you asked my team this, they would tell you we have too many options, to be honest with you. But
Okay.
it ranges everything from, signature coffees to custom energy drinks, smoothies, juices, shakes, flavored iced teas. The goal is something for everyone, right? So there's enough people now who don't drink coffee and they say, "Oh, I'm not a big coffee drinker." That's fine. We've got a lot of other things that ultimately there should hopefully there's something for everyone in terms of the range of products that we've got.
So you've got a good range, and you feel like you've got the system and the process down for executing on those different products consistently.
Yeah, it's a journey. It's not a destination. I'll tell you that much. But yes, that's the key thing is can we be consistent with what we're doing there? So, yeah, I feel good about the product offering we have. Just continuing to make sure that we're nails on our recipes.
Gotcha. Okay. Interesting. Um, tell me what's going on with like, I don't follow it. I mean, I love coffee. I drink 2 cups a day. Now, this has been challenging because I was like 4 or 5.
Yeah,
Um, Now I'm down to 2. I went hardcore a couple months ago and I was like, I feel like it was like all throughout the day. I just had too much anxiety or something. So I experimented, got down to 2. It definitely makes a difference. I do like a little pour over thing at home or whatever and just do 16 ounces and I'm good. I really would like when I talk to you like right now, all I want to do is have coffee because I love coffee so freaking much, dude. I love coffee so much. Um, what is going on in the world of coffee beans and coffee prices and like is that a challenge right now or have they stabilized? Is that something that you're fighting with constantly?
yeah, yeah. I mean the tariffs on. I mean because the only coffee really grown in the U.S. is in Hawaii, right? But they don't even make a sliver of what the demand is for the U.S. So everything's coming internationally, and then the tariff ranges really depend on where you're sourcing from and how your roaster's handling it. So that kicked in like midsummer for us, and I think it's probably something that will still be in effect for a year or so. The trickle down effect is that you've seen, prices for consumers on that cup of coffee is going up, right? And the bigger brands are kind of leading the way on how they're pricing things, like Starbucks and Dunkin' as an example. I think customers are pretty elastic when it comes to coffee that or a drink that you might not be able to afford to go out to dinner every night, but you can find $5 to get you that drink to get you through your day. um so I hate raising price, not fun. But also when your coffee prices are jumping like crazy and you combine that with the demand globally has never been higher. And then like last year, there was, some drought impact. And so, supply was tighter, which is just going to, drive the price up. So, we're navigating it as best we can. It's never fun to have to do that. But at the same time, we got to make sure that we're, and really like an example, 10% tariff, like we ran the math on what is the actual cost per cup impact. It's probably 5 to 10 cents. And so we were able to kind of work through that to, raise the price slightly, but not in a way that you said, hey, my $4 drink just became 6. It's not that, but it's incremental.
Mm. And then you're in states where, I mean, you obviously don't have a ton of labor. Like, how many people do you have at each location or on your staff?
Just depends on the shift. I mean, as low as 2, but like a morning shift right now at those stores in Mooresville, there's 8 people working at each one.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. Well, your economics would be a lot harder, I would imagine, back in your home state at $20 an
Yeah.
hour minimum wage or
Yeah.
whatever. Like, yeah.
Yep, it's a total. I mean, I've got friends that are coffee franchisees on the West Coast there, and it just completely changed the economics with how they approached it. And ultimately, what sucks about that is the customer experience ends up suffering because they say, hey, if I run the same labor that I would like to and normally do, I will literally go into the red. So they pinch down on labor to still have a viable business, and wait times go up, experience goes down. It stinks. So we're fortunate for right now with where we're at.
Yeah, you can just stay in some of these southern states, man, probably. I mean, I get the intent on all those things. It's supposed to be like helpful. But what happens is like the big companies like Starbucks and McDonald's and whoever can absorb that stuff, and then it's the small businesses that get like it doesn't work, and so it's a you know unintended negative consequences that run downstream of that all the time, particularly for small business. So, well, what else should we talk about, man? I want to respect your time. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else that we haven't covered that we should or that you would like to talk. How about this? This is something I've been trying to remember to ask people. So let's say you're talking to a room full of Clutch customers right now. Like you had an opportunity to have a gathering or whatever. What would you say to those people?
I think the first thing is thank you. Thank you for supporting the brand and believing in what we do. Um, I try to tell our employees all the time, like investing in those relationships isn't just because that's what we think is the right thing. I'm like, literally, that's why we have jobs. Like, we can't have these jobs without customers supporting. So you know, uh, the phrase of like, rent is due every day. Like, we have to earn our keep and do that on a daily basis. So I think thank you is probably the first thing. And then the second thing is, what can we improve upon? Like, let's just get right to it in terms of what can we be better at, and be open to, you may not implement every single thing that someone wants, but like, can we holistically find ways to improve, the experience?
Thanking, being grateful, and listening. And yeah, there you go. Clutch customers. Bring somebody along. Bring a friend. Show them the experience. What a cool. So I need to get by. I've been meaning to go by your Monroe. It's not like super close, but I do want to go have that experience one morning. I would kill for y'all to have one somewhere on Providence Road. I live out in Waxhaw, and between
Yeah,
like it's a one artery that's like
we've
hard.
got Monroe. Is Indian Trail closer to you?
Yes.
Okay, so we've got one on Independence, in Indian Trail. It's right across the street from Panera, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, we've got one there. We have Rock Hill as well. I actually went and drove a couple sites in Charlotte and Pineville yesterday,
Yeah.
and driving a couple more today. So we'll see if they meet the bar. But yeah, it's getting more in and around the Charlotte area for sure.
Charlotte doesn't have a lot of, it wasn't built for this growth, right? So there's very few arteries that get you from like these outer lying areas where I live, like Waxhaw, into town, right? There's Providence
Yep.
Road, there's Independence, there's Park Road. I mean, there's just not a lot, and there's a lot of cars that have to pick one of those and just sit on those
Yep.
roads for a long time every morning. So it would
So
be nice.
get your drink and settle in for the ride.
Yeah, that's right. Get your clutch and settle in. Dude, well, I'll let you go. You're a busy dude. You're an inspiration. You got a lot of high energy and passion for what you're doing, which is infectious and contagious. And it's very clear you lead by example. So, tip of the hat. Thank you for the time. Thanks for sharing the story. And I hope that we get to meet in person sometime. I would love to hang at a clutch with you and just chat sometime.
Absolutely. I'll get in touch with you because I'd love to meet up, even if whether it's at a clutch or in the area, because I'm out here all the time. So no, I appreciate it, and thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. All right, y'all. That's another episode. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Uh, Please, y'all, give Restaurant Owners Uncorked a rating. We are a top 5 podcast for a reason because we produce really good content that people enjoy and we get good ratings. And the more ratings we get, the more people will get to hear this. Darren, do the same. Restaurant Owners Uncorked, go give us a 5 star. I've been trying to get good at asking people for these ratings now. Like,
Love it.
you know, because they need to hear like this is great stuff. People love this. So these
Okay.
algorithms look for that engagement. Thank you all for everything. Appreciate y'all, Darren. Thank you, man. Have a good one.
You too, man.